Been a long time, hasn't it? Now, for those of you who are avid viewers of my channel, you would understand that I haven't really been uploading. I think that's the most obvious thing so far, right? If I'm correct, it's been almost a year since I've actually last uploaded a YouTube video. And there's many reasons for this. One of them being quite serious, and the others being, I wouldn't say serious per se, but reasons that are valid. I want to go through the quick and easy ones first. So at the start, I just kind of lost my interest for a little bit in the TCG. It was getting kind of dull and boring at that point. I know now it's picked up, which is fantastic, and I have actually been playing the game to some degree more recently after, coming back on the Discord and speaking to a few people, and also posting on Twitter and YouTube that I am kind of on the up. So shortly after that, my computer completely broke. Completely. As in, I cannot get anything back from that computer. I have loads and loads of data, files, things I was working on, music stuff I was working on for my brother and myself that I just can't recover right now. So I don't really know what happened to it, and I didn't know how to get it fixed until one point my sponsor, ptcgostore.com, pointed out that they would be willing to help. This video wouldn't exist if it weren't for them, and they put a lot of faith in me, and I do still owe them an apology because I was due to be back a lot sooner, but there are reasons for that. But they definitely went beyond what they needed to do to actually allow me to continue what I wanted to do, and that's incredible. I've never seen that from a sponsor before, and it's mind-blowing, and it makes me feel so, I just feel so grateful. Oh, by the way, you're gonna hear a lot of beeping in the background. My fire alarm, I haven't changed the battery, and it's going to go beep every now and then. I'll try and cut it out as much as possible, but, be wary of that. Shortly after, I'm not sure if I exactly remember the exact time frame. If I'm honest, it's all a bit of a blur around this point. But I believe shortly after I got this PC that they provided for me, I got into a relationship with someone. And I found a job, a genuine full-time job that allowed me to actually work around having my little one. And it was a good job. It paid well, and at the time it was something I was really enjoying doing, and that obviously played a part in me not uploading YouTube videos. It was very tiring, I would say. I would be walking around for 10 hours straight. Well, 10 hours straight. I had lunch and stuff, but there was times when the lunch was half an hour, so almost 10 hours straight for 4 days in a row, and then I had 4 days off. It was definitely a physically demanding job, to say the least. But it was one I enjoyed, and there was good people around, and I did that for a good amount of time. So yeah, I had this job, it paid very well, and my life was going in a direction that I thought was pretty good. This is where, again, I got into that relationship, and again, my life was going down a road where things were starting to click together after a few good years of me putting in so much effort to become more of an individual, to improve myself as an individual, as well as a father for my child over time, putting in so much effort. I thought finally things are clicking into place. As you can tell by the title, it didn't. So this relationship I got in was with someone that I met in November for the first time, but didn't really speak to them at all. I met them once, went to their house for a little party. I was invited by a family member to their house, had a little party. It was fun, nothing really happened, and I went home the next day. And didn't speak to her since that whole time, and then she messaged me around March, if I'm correct, expressing her interest in me, and I expressed it back. And from that point on, we started seeing each other, I would say unofficially, for a few weeks, and then I asked her to be, my girlfriend, and she said yes. For the first 2 weeks of that relationship, it was great. I was really, really enjoying life. Again, it just felt like things were clicking into place. But then there's a lot of things that really started happening after that 2 weeks. There was a lot of red flags, and I won't go into the details. I don't feel the need to go into the details. I don't think that's necessary either. But there was a lot of red flags that were really starting to show, and a lot of concerns that were starting to come into play. And at this point, I didn't really know what to do about them. I'm naturally a trusting person. I like to believe what I'm told. If I speak to someone I trust, obviously, if you trust them, you wouldn't naturally question them. And this was someone that I had an element of trust with. Obviously, considering I barely knew them, I would say for that amount of time, only known them properly for a good month. I took everything as kind of a risk, right? I would trust as a risk. I don't really know this person fully to a degree, but I will take their word for what they say. And there was, again, the red flags continued. And there was just things that just weren't making sense. She would tell me things that would, to one person, be wow. To me, it didn't really matter. To be fair, I can't really describe it without saying what she said. And she told me she was a multimillionaire, right? And I thought, okay. To me, that was kind of irrelevant. I don't see money as a driving factor in a relationship at all. But she would tell me these things, and it seems now that she would tell me them to kind of wrap me around her finger. But we'll get to that. And she would start to lie consistently about a lot of things. I was concerned about her loyalty towards me and whether she was telling me the truth. Not only that, but when things started to concern me and I raised them up, it would be spat right back in my face. I would immediately be questioned for asking the question. And I would immediately be made to feel stupid and like I have the problem. And it wasn't a nice feeling. There was a lot of internal conflicts within me at that point in time. And it really tore me to shreds as a person. There was constant things popping up that to anyone in any relationship would be red flags. But for some reason, I was convinced by her that I was the problem and I had trust issues. And this started to go and continue and keep building throughout time. And every time there was an issue, again, it backfired. I am the problem. I am the fault for having the problem in the first place, even though I'm not the one who caused it. She would tell me to do one thing, and then when I did it, tell me to do the other. When I did the other, same thing. Told me not to do that. It was a classic double bind situation. That's what I've learned narcissists tend to do. They tend to put you in a situation where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, and leave you thinking what on earth is going on in their head and thinking all about them and what you can do to please them and what you can do to set things right for your mistakes. When in reality, you weren't making a mistake, you were onto something. And that's what I started to realize. I found out she was being disloyal. This is going to be quite personal, but to throw another spanner into the works, she told me she was pregnant and told me it was mine. So I, shocked at the time, although, decided to commit. We decided, hey, we'll look for a place. We'll have 9 months to really get the ball rolling. We both have kids. We need to really figure this out and take it seriously. And that was a lot of stress on top of my concerns and the issues that were starting to raise up. It was a ton of stress. And around that point, even after telling me she was pregnant, the signs of infidelity were just constant now. They were regular, and I still thought I was the problem. Even to a point where I spoke to a family member of mine who said, maybe you should just trust them and just do it blindly. Like, just go for it and see what happens. And although I understand that sentiment, and I did actually take it on. I was like, right, okay, sweet. I went to her and I said, you know what? Sort all of this. There's a kid on the way. I'm going to trust you fully. That's it. Done. And I thought, okay, sweet. I feel great. I feel almost liberated. I can trust this person. And all the issues before weren't issues. I was the problem. I told her I was going to take therapy to help deal with trust issues, thinking again I had trust issues. And something funny happened the next day. I woke up and my whole body was screaming at me. It was just pure instinct saying, don't do this. Like, what are you doing? I couldn't quite figure out why. I wasn't able to understand it, but it was powerful. And it was enough to make me sit there and go, hold on. Am I doing the right thing right now? Am I making the right choices? What's going on? And I would never have felt so anxious at that point. It was such a confusing moment, not really understanding what it is, what is going on, why that's going on, and what's happening. And after a lot of arguing, and again, being made to believe I'm at fault for having that feeling, I decided to go with it. I said, yeah, I'll go with it. And as I said, I found out she was being disloyal and she was manipulating me, gaslighting me. And even emotionally blackmailing me. There was one moment where, with the child, she would threaten to vanish with what I believed to be my baby at the time. And I would never see my child, what I believed to be my child. And I would never have any involvement with that baby, which crushed me, absolutely distraught me. It brought me to tears every single time. And it was horrible, absolutely awful. Worst thing I felt. Now, although the threats were, illegal and there was routes I could take, it was just, I tried very hard to finish the relationship, but still do everything I can for the child. I offered to help her out with the pregnancy in any way that I can. Be there for the child, be a father and see my child and have a relationship with my child as is what's meant to be. She would deny any, and I made multiple attempts for me to be involved. And she would say, if we don't work it out, you won't see your child. You will have no involvement at all, even the involvement you're offering to have now, unless we stay together, which is, of course, emotional blackmail. The amount of stress and anxiety that put me through was undescribable, absolutely undescribable. It's still affecting me today. Now, it's at a point where I can talk about it quite comfortably because I've spoken about it a lot with family, friends. I'll go into the next bit in a second as to who else I've been speaking to about it, but it still affects me today. And what I decided to do was actually take that therapy that I was planning on taking and ask for something else, ask for counselling, and say, I originally, because they asked me, why have you come to book therapy? And I mentioned the anxiety and stuff like that, because during that relationship, waking up feeling on edge every day is not a way you want to feel. If you feel like that in a relationship, to be fair, don't take my word for gospel, but if you're waking up feeling on edge every day in a relationship, something needs to be done. That's what I've learned. And yeah, waking up, that was horrible. So I was telling them about that. I woke up feeling anxious every single day, and the most anxious I've ever been, I think, in my life, on that day where I woke up and had that bad feeling about just fully trusting her. I asked, can I actually take some counselling instead? I haven't got trust issues. It's been proven that actually the person was doing something wrong whilst pregnant, which to me, that's just horrible. But again, they were doing something wrong. I don't have trust issues. I want to go for counselling because I am just ruined right now by all of this. And I've been taking it and it's been very helpful, incredibly. Look, if you have no other option to deal with any sort of anxiety or depression you're dealing with, just try counselling because, God, it helps. Let's just say it helps a lot if you're willing and open and just purely honest. For me, it's been very effective so far and it's been so helpful. But that would be the reason why more recently I've struggled to come back even when I've been able to. And it was a horrible experience, absolutely horrible experience. Even though it was short-lived, it was awful. And it just ruined me in ways I didn't think was possible. Differently. It was awful. It was awful. It was, as I said, just abuse. Short term, but very, very intense. And that is the reason. That is the reason. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I hope that I do have to hold my hands up and say, like, I'm not a professional in all of this, but I hope you can take something from this, at least, in the future, in your life. And also to those who actually want to see the Pokemon stuff, I hope you can understand what's been going on a little bit more. And yeah. Right, this video's been a bit of a chaotic one, so I'm going to try and patch it all together with a bit of editing and hopefully, yeah, get back to recording and streaming and actually making videos, which I am looking to do. Until I get my camera fixed, we'll be using this one, but I think it's okay. The lighting seems to really help and make it look a lot better. So I'm going to roll with this for now. So yeah, been a wild ride, I'd say, for me this past year, but starting to settle again, which is nice. So I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Do take care of yourself and peace.